Hey guys, T-Boliv here, and today I thought we would take a look at the new Tier 9 Premium American Cruiser, the Alaska. It is available today in the shipyard for a rather reasonable 50 steel. I really had my money on titanium for this thing, so I was very excited to see that it was just available for steel. Fortunately, I bought Benham last week so that I could get some titanium for the Siegfried. And so I'm going to have to wait to get an Alaska for my personal account. But according to our friends at Wargaming, this is going to be in the shipyard for a while. So if you really want it, go ahead. If you're not quite at 50 steel yet, you do have some time. So get out there and finish those battle honors, guys. Anyways, it is in the shipyard, and so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over the base stats like I normally would because, well, they're there. You can see them. You can read them. And I'm not going to compare it to another ship. The only other thing at Tier 9 that's got 305s would be the Kronstadt. It's got 3x3, 305, same gun layout, and would be a fair comparison. But the whole point of doing the comparisons, in my opinion at least, is so that those of you who don't have this one yet, we can compare it to something else that's more common that, has been out, that people have played. But I don't really see that many Kronstadts out there. And so I think it's a waste of time to do a comparison to a boat that I don't really think is all that common. And not all that many people have. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to show you, and I guess we'll get started, some of the things that you cannot see in the shipyard, such as the elite ship bonuses here. You see advanced gun director and then elite gun operator are the two that you have to choose from, because let's be honest, who takes meritorious service? And if you do, no offense. And then I'll show you guys how I set mine up, the captain skills I chose, and some of my thought process behind them, because I did spend a little bit of time thinking about that for this boat actually, and how it plays and the caliber of its guns and whatnot. And then I've got a game for you, and we'll show you that. It's not the highest damage game, but I thought it was a pretty solid one and a fair showing kind of what the boat can do. So I thought we'd take a look at that. Like all the other Tier 9 premiums, you do get battle honors. First one's pretty easy. Play 10 battles and then kill 2 cruisers in 1 battle, and it gets you 4 titanium. 4 titanium closer to picking up, well, I know Siegfried. I don't know what else is in the shop for titanium right now. Camouflage, hit points, main battery firing range, AA, large AA range, torpedo damage reduction. So the AA on this thing, as you guys can see when you look at the numbers, it's pretty solid. It's not Des Moines or Worcester solid, but it's still pretty solid. And with the defensive AA, it is only, AA1. But with the defensive AA, it does a pretty good job of defending itself. So precise aim 2, as you can see, and radar makes for a pretty solid pair if you've got a destroyer smoking up in front of you. I think really the only thing, I guess we'll just scroll through real quick, really the only thing I was disappointed with on Alaska was the HE damage, especially compared to the AP. And this kind of segues into captain skills and why I chose what I did. But, I thought for the fact that it's got battleship caliber guns, we would see a little bit more HE damage to help against the destroyers. But it is what it is. So secondaries, pretty standard cruiser layout, U.S. cruiser layout. You've got 6 total, 1 fore, 1 aft, 2 on each side. So you got a broadside of 6. No torpedoes. Boo. So yeah, and then AA damage. The HE damage was really the only thing I was kind of disappointed with. I would have liked to have seen a little bit higher. And as a result of that, I did end up putting Thomas Kincaid on here. And as you can see, I do have the improved IFHE. This is built pretty much the same way my personal Kincaid is on my personal account. And I may end up retraining him, if only just to take marksman. Because I'm almost positive I have fully prepared, because I don't he's Worcester, and the other boats that I use him for don't have precise aim. But I would be willing to personally give up the 10% cooldown time for the extra precise aim time when I have him on Alaska. And I know that he's got battleship caliber guns, and the default a lot of times then is to take APCS. And my thought process on this was, I'm probably already going to be overpenning destroyers as it is, if I happen to have AP loaded when they're coming up on me. And so by taking the APCS, I'm going to have more penetration, and I'm even more likely to overpen them. Whereas if I have IFHE loaded, I'm going to do damage, and it's probably going to do pretty good. But I'm also, I want to make sure that because my HE damage is a little bit on the lower side, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to get full rolls against a destroyer, because I need every single point of damage I can get against a destroyer with the HE. The other thing, too, is that, the APCS would be nice to help out because you are shooting Tier 4 U.S. battleship guns against Tier 8, 9, and 10 AP, conceivably battleships, where the armor's a lot better. And so you've got Tier 4 battleship guns on a Tier 9 cruiser. And so the APCS would probably help, but if I'm going to be bouncing shots potentially, then, again, I want every bit of HE damage I can get against those ships with every shot. So that was kind of where I started thinking about it, and because originally I didn't have Kincaid on here, and I started thinking, I was like, well, Kincaid already gets me an extra radar plus the extra air defense alert. Those are benefits on this boat. I get improved air defense expert, which is only going to help because the AA is not quite as good as some of the other U.S. cruisers I'm used to. So hey, there's that. I can make the IFHE work. There's a couple other skills that are handy. So I am going to, on my personal account at least, I'm going to end up using Kincaid. So just my thoughts on that. The extinguisher, especially the improved extinguisher, is going to come in really handy. We're going to go look at the boat build next, and you'll see that I have the fire on deck protection as well, which is not normal if you watch any of my other videos with ship builds. This thing catches fire a lot for some reason. Like almost, at least in the games I played, I felt like I was driving a Japanese battleship. I was catching on fire so much. So I did run it, as you can see here, with main battery mod 1 for turret traverse, because the stock turret traverse is 6 degrees per second, which is battleship slow, as you would expect with battleship caliber guns. And this definitely did help, along with the boost from Elite Gun Operator, and being a cruiser where I'm going to be having to deal with destroyers. I wanted my guns turning as fast as they could. I'm actually considering switching to this one for the extra secondary range, just because they're going to traverse a little bit faster, they're going to reload a little bit faster, and so I think they're a little bit better suited for anti-destroyer use, and that extra range is nice. Plus the benefit is the extra AA range as well. Argument could be made for either one. I'm still on the fence about which one what I'm going to end up going with when I get around to getting my own Alaska. Dispersion's always an option. We'll take a look later. We'll talk a little bit more. The dispersion was a little bit trollish, and so an argument could be made for this as well. I think any of the three are good options. Just going to kind of depend on your playstyle and what you want to do with it. Regular viewers know that my default build on basically everything that's not a destroyer is acceleration and then steering in slot 3. Like I said, the first 3 or 4 games that I played, I felt like I was on fire pretty much all the time. Damn you, Seattles. So I did end up going back and switching it to deck protection to reduce the risk of fire, and I do feel like that was the right choice for this boat. So I do recommend that. Just my personal opinion. And then slot 3, as always, I go steering, and I really think that was a good choice. You'll see in the video, I almost got blapped by a destroyer that was on my blind side, and I saw him just in time, and if I had reversed and turned hard, I probably would have missed the torps. As it was, I missed most of them, so that was exciting. Let's see. Captain, historical camo, elite bonuses, equipment. I think that's it for here. So let's go ahead and jump over into some gameplay. And no audio still. I'm working on it, I swear. But I got a game and thought I'd talk a little bit through it. So let's see what we got. All right. So first thing, I definitely need to give a shout out and a thank you to Lost Soul 83 and Bailey for helping me with these games. Always fun running with you two. And Bravo, I see you over there. It was nice having you on our team instead of the red team for once. So 4 Argons. We weren't messing around this game. Anyways, so the reason I picked this match to show you guys, again, it's not, as you're going to see, a super high damage game. But what it did do was give you, I think, a pretty good overview of kind of how the boat handles and what it can do with the way I've got it set up, which, again, we looked at. As I mentioned before, I got ambushed by a destroyer and came pretty close to eating a full broadside from a Benson when I was already low health. And I managed to survive it and probably could have survived it without taking any damage if I had been a little bit smarter in how I handled it. I made another mistake in the game too that, the benefit of recording yourself is you can try to fix some of these things. But, anyways, this game, I picked this game. Again, it shows the maneuverability. It's going to show you the accuracy. It's going to show you, kind of how the damage rolls look. And I thought it was a fairly decent one. So I was a little disappointed. No Citadels on either the Seattle or the Carrier that I ended up getting close to. Not chasing, getting close to at the end of the match. But yeah, it ended up being overall a pretty solid game, I thought. So I guess because it's at the end of the video and I don't want to run out of time, we'll talk a little bit about the dispersion here. It's not Lenin level trollish, but it can be pretty variable from one salvo to the next. The last couple salvos I shot in the game, the first one I got 1 out of 9, and you watch as they land on either side of the ship. And then the next salvo, I hit 7 out of 9. Both of them without precise aim. And with the precise aim, I had no issues with the dispersion on this boat. It was just without it that it sometimes got a little wonky. And so in that one example, back-to-back salvos on the same boat, 1 hit versus 7 hits. There is a little bit of a difference because between shots I was maneuvering and he wasn't, so I was getting a little bit more of his broadside. But it still, I think, is a pretty good example of how the dispersion can be a little trollish, because you can just see the difference in the tightness of the grouping from one salvo to the next. So, yeah. The big mistake that I made in this game, and again, benefit of recording and watching yourself back is learning. I don't know why, but I thought he was going to break towards me and come around this side of the island. And so I kept pushing up so that I could, get my guns on him and blap him. And he instead played Ring Around the Rosie. And I kept pushing up and just wasn't paying attention. And I just saw, actually, I've watched this back a couple times now, and I just saw a second ago the destroyer show up out here and then disappear again real quick. And I didn't catch that at the time. Otherwise, I would have known not to keep pushing this way. But all of a sudden, we're going to spot our little friend here, right there. Now, if I had thrown it in reverse and pulled hard towards him, because you can see I already started turning there. If I had hit the brakes too, I probably would have been fine. But I took 1 from the Carrier and then 2 from the Benson, and that could have been really, really bad. Radar came in handy, and Lost was there to help me out, so appreciate it, man. Otherwise, he would have shot me, and that would have been it. So, anyways, as we're heading here towards the end, just wanted to say thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and definitely appreciate you guys, your guys' support and comments and likes. makes it easier to find the motivation to do these sometimes, because it can be a little bit of a chore. So, but I like doing them for you guys, and so I try to get them done. So, as I was putting this together, I started playing with the video a little bit in slow motion right at the end of the battle. So here, oh no, this is the last salvo with the precise aim. No citadels, but I mean that was 8 out of 9 with precise aim. This is without, and this is that salvo I was telling you guys it was a little wonky. Now I do have a little bit more of his broadside for this shot, and I aimed further back, so that would have helped. But still, you can see the difference in the tightness of that shot versus the one before it. Okay, so right there, that moment right there, I went back and watched, and actually, even though I died after the battle ended. His bombers hit me, but not until after our North Carolina put the killing shot into him. So that was cool. I thought I died, and I did, but I died, and I shot down one more of his planes after the battle ended. So anyways, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.